that goes,
welcome to the Local Domination Podcast, your ultimate guide to get local clients fast, featuring interviews with local marketing and lead generation experts who will show you exactly how to attract local clients and dominate your market. And now, here's your host, Doran Aldana.
Welcome, everyone, to another episode of the Local Domination Podcast. This is Doran Aldana, your host, and again, this is your ultimate guide to get local clients fast. And we have a special guest expert, just like every other episode. Today is certainly no exception. Gene Volpe. He is the founder of GVI Media, formerly Your Real Estate Concierge. He's a speaker, local marketing expert. He has over 6 years of experience in real estate, including buying, selling, renting, marketing, and consulting on over 200 real estate transactions. And before becoming a expert in marketing in real estate, he served as a highly successful technology manager for a Fortune 15 company. So this dude understands the game in the real world, and you're about to hear some very practical tips momentarily. In addition to that, Gene played and still plays a major role in funding and designing the nation's first and most advanced proprietary real estate video marketing platform. We're going to learn a little bit more about his expertise in that area in a moment. He's an expert in brand management and remains on the cutting edge of real estate marketing with a hard focus on video and social media. Gene's firm specializes in helping local businesses with video and social media marketing, including local Facebook ads and content creation and generation. So with that in mind, Gene, thank you so much for being with us today.
Yo, Doran, that intro was off the charts, man. I'm like, who is this dude he's talking about?
Hey, it only gets worse from here, brother. That's my best stuff right up front.
I love it. Let's do it. Thanks for having me, man. I appreciate it.
Hey, thank you for being with us. So why don't we start off by just having you share a little bit about your story, how you got into this game of marketing in general, and video marketing and social media in particular. Just give us a little background on yourself.
Yeah, no problem. So, I mean, it started years ago, as you said in that intro. I worked for a company. I was a manager at a company called Verizon, which most people probably have heard of.
Right.
And it wasn't the cell side or the cell phone side of it. It was more business to business stuff. So we would deal with local and wide area networking and the connectivity between it, servers, like kind of the guys that worked with me were the best of the best in the business. I mean, these guys were light years beyond really anybody in IT at the time. And I was lucky enough to have been on a journey with them. So I learned some really cool stuff inside and out. Well, fast forward 2007, I had an opportunity to jump and do some consulting work in the real estate arena, doing some purchasing, buying, selling, holding, a lot of different things. And I retired at 31 from Verizon, and which was kind of scary and cool at the same time. But it gave me an opportunity to step out and sort of start my own thing. And thank God for my wife. She was behind me the whole time, told me she trusts me. She's still around. If you're thinking, she's gone, and she's still here. And I ask myself why sometimes, but
hey, she's a sucker for punishment. We need women like that by our side, right?
No question. She is the greatest, man. I get up in the morning and do it for her and my girls for sure. That's my wife, no question.
Like a true warrior. I love it.
God, there's no other way to do it at this point. I can't go back. But just kind of to wrap that up, in 2007 when I stepped out to do some consulting, I was lucky enough to run with some good partners who were a lot smarter than I was, and they basically said, owning real estate is great, but when you sit at the settlement table, there's other ventures there that are making money. The real estate agents are making commission. The mortgage brokers are making their points. The title company's getting their fees. There are marketing guys there. And so they said basically the richest folks in the world have a piece of all that, of everybody that's sitting at that table. So got us thinking a little bit like, we got to start putting some dollars not only in the real estate, but some of the things that move the real estate world. And one of them was video marketing and or marketing. And as I started to work with real estate agents and brokers, I realized there was a niche there for me to step into. I had some technical expertise that I brought with me from that previous company. And I noticed very quickly, this is not a shot at real estate agents. Their job is not to be online. So they had, a lot of challenges with the way marketing was turning and videos and how do I log onto my account? I can't remember my password. And so that kind of grew into Your Real Estate Concierge, which was us helping with basically a real estate digital agency. Fast forward, we've expanded to GVI Media so that we're not only dealing in the real estate and brokerage worlds. We can do it for mortgage brokers. We could do it for pizza shops, restaurants, anybody who needs help with their digital online presence, we can do it. So that's that story in a nutshell.
Wow. And coming from the Badlands of Philly, you know about turning adversity into opportunity. You know about turning lemons into lemonade. And I see that you've turned, as an entrepreneur, you've turned someone else's challenge into your profit center. And I think that's the quintessential secret sauce to success on the front lines of capitalism, is learning how to turn other people's challenges into solutions that actually work. So we're going to dive into that today. We're going to talk about some things that actually are perennial challenges for a lot of local businesses listening to this, namely marketing in general. And then certainly the social media is a real confusion pot for a lot of people, especially, pay-per-click ads on Facebook and even video. I mean, it sounds great. People love the idea of video, but actually doing it and actually monetizing it is another story. So we're going to unpack that. Why don't we start off with the first question of the hour, my friend, and that is, how can a local business use online video to generate local leads? Like, how do they practically turn a video or a series of videos into local leads? Unpack that for us.
I'm going to unpack that at the very earliest stages. This is going to be a 101, if you will, when it comes to video.
Sure.
There is one mistake that I see the majority of business owners, whether it be real estate agents, brokers, pizza shops, whatever it may be, there's one huge sin, corporal sin that they're making, and that is that they're overthinking and not doing it.
Mm-hmm.
And what I mean by that is very simple. And listen, everything I'm about to tell you, I fell victim to myself and still do on certain occasions. But I know for a fact from teaching and talking to a bunch of these agents and business owners, the one common theme is, well, who wants to see a video with me on it? Who wants to hear my voice? Nobody wants that stuff. When in reality, the opposite's actually true. You're going to get your haters. There's plenty of haters out there. And you can also, and I know you know this, you can also turn your haters into not only believers, but marketing fodder for coming back with good material that other people will consume, right?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
So with the video piece of it, it's really important that you stop and get over yourself a little bit and just get in front of the camera. These days, like people say, I don't have the equipment. Man, that iPhone you got next to you or that Google Pixel, the video quality on that is so good that if you set it up properly and just pay attention to a couple small details, you can get your 1 minute message across. And believe me when I tell you, more people will follow, watch, and like your stuff than the people that hate you, I promise.
Gotcha. So a big piece then sounds like is the mindset piece. If you don't believe that you have something of value to bring to the marketplace in the form of a little 1 minute video, chances are you're not going to go through the setup process, the, 1, 2, 3 step formula, whatever is required to actually execute. In other words, you have to believe that you're going to have a contribution in the audience you're submitting this video to before you're ever going to get off your hump and do it, pull the trigger on it. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, that's a big element of it. And I mean, but if you do a little bit of, you back it up a little bit and do a little soul searching, your business in itself is that value add that you're bringing to the table. So, but we'll take a pizza shop, for example. You open that pizza shop because you believe you make the best pizza and people in that area will benefit from your pizza, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, that needs to translate down to your video. That there's going to be pieces of information that have to do with your shop and pizza and local things that are happening that you can relay to folks. And that stuff that you relay to people will translate into business because they're going to want to be by your side. That's not a great way to put it, but they're going to want to consume what you're giving them, not only from a pizza perspective, but maybe they don't know what kind of pepperoni you use. It sounds ridiculous, right? But when I go to a place and I have a great pizza or great food, I tend to want to know what the ingredients are that are in it. Well, if you give me a little piece of that information every week, I'm more likely to come out to your place of business and try out what you've been telling me. It sounds crazy, but you have to wrap up what it is that you do and what you love and what you're passionate about and have that translate to your video, and people will eat it up, pun intended.
So what if you're in a plain Jane vanilla commoditized so-called business and you don't feel like you have anything exciting to talk about? Let's say you own a appliance store where you sell fridges and dishwashers and stuff like that, or mattresses, and you don't think it's that exciting. You don't think people are going to watch anything that has to do with something so plain Jane vanilla. How do you take something that on the outside seems kind of humdry, dull, and boring, and bring it to life and actually have it something where people will tune into and continue to tune into? Is there a trick to that?
Yeah, you know what? That's a phenomenal question. And it's one of those things where, like, for example, I deal a lot in real estate, and, real estate agents and consumers who are not on the market to buy or sell at the moment tend to find real estate very boring. And I mean, you know this, if you went to a party and all you did was talk mortgage rates, you probably wouldn't have many friends, right?
That's right. The no friends left club.
Seriously, it is what it is. So, and with real estate, it's the same thing. It's like, how many times can you tell me you have an open house on Sunday before I leave and stop following you?
Right.
So the trick then becomes to give away good information that maybe people will find useful, and therefore they'll come back. So let's take the real estate industry as an example again.
Sure.
As a real estate agent, there's two mistakes they make. The one mistake they make is that they think nobody wants to hear it. That's the one thing. The second piece of it is that they don't think they have enough information to talk about. And so what I say to agents all the time is, this is going to be a really good tip, actually. What I say to agents and brokers is, listen, you probably answer 500 emails in any given month that come into your inbox and say, hey, Gene, I have a question about a HUD. I have a question about my mortgage. I have a question about this document. How about insurance, right? All these things. If somebody's sending you an email and asking you, there's two things that are happening. They think you're the subject matter expert, and two, they have a need for an answer. Well, guess what? If they're asking you what this number means on the HUD, there's probably other people in your industry that don't know either. So take 1 minute of your time and give away free good information. If you capture one person that goes, wow, I never knew that. That was unbelievable info, and that saved me X amount of dollars, you have a new client, right? And so let's go back to your question originally, which was the appliances. As somebody who sells appliances, as somebody who works in that industry, I'm hoping that you're passionate about it. Otherwise, you're leading a tough life if you have to go to that every day and do it. But I hope you're passionate about it. What about something like a home warranty program, right? So each week you come out with a new thing where you say, did you know that for $29 a month, X, Y, and Z can happen, and you can have all of your major appliances in your home covered? Well, guess what? If I give people that information and I rate and review those home warranty companies once a month, every month, and within a month somebody has their $1,700 range break, but it was covered by the home warranty company because I told them about it, guess who's going to be a new client of mine? So I think it's just you in your world, and I know I could say this about you. I've done a lot of research on you before we got together. You're probably the best in your industry in mortgage. And so there's information that you can relay to people on a regular basis very quickly so you're not boring them, but information that they can take and consume. Listen, 98% of your audience isn't going to need that information at the moment you're giving it. But if you're consistently doing it and you catch them when they do need it, they're going to be a fan and a friend for life.
So how do you deal with the pushback of, I don't want to come across like I'm selling? If I'm sending out video, I don't want to be sending out a bunch of self-promotional stuff because I just don't feel comfortable doing that. I don't want people feeling like it's just an endless stream of sales pitches. How do you take the idea, for example, of the home warranty and spin that into something compelling people would actually want to watch that isn't quote unquote salesy or uncool?
Again, these are phenomenal questions. So from that perspective, when I do my content and I put out a podcast and I do, here, listen, I'm going to call you out right now. I haven't heard you sell anything yet, right?
Right.
And I would expect that somewhere down the road, I won't. But here's what happens. You're putting out phenomenal content on a regular basis that subconsciously people are coming to consume. And when they do, I go back to the word subconscious again. I probably didn't want to use it where I did. I want to use it here. They will know that Doran has given me constant great information. I love listening to this podcast because of X, Y, and Z. And by the way, I happen to sort of know he's a mortgage guy. He's probably the best in the area, but I don't really need it right now. I don't care about that right now, but I'm coming back. I'm coming back. I'm coming back. 6 months from now, I may need that mortgage. Well, if I'm still listening to your podcasts, I'm probably going to give you a shot at answering the phone call, right? Because you're there right then when I had that thought. Oh, yeah, I've been meaning to call him. I got to get a better rate. So that applies across the board. When you're doing your regular, let's call it your Monday minute, you just do a marketing minute and you're talking for 1 minute about the latest home warranty craze and how it saved your customer last week $800. There's no sales in that. It's something like this. Hey guys, just checking back in from from Doran and Gene's Appliances, and wanted to talk to you real quick about how we were able to save a customer $800 last week. This home warranty, X, Y, and Z, it worked. They signed up. It broke. Within 3 minutes, there was a tech on the phone. 2 hours, they were out there. They fixed it. And $140 later, they didn't need a new range. Check back next week, and I'm going to talk to you again about boom, boom, boom. There was no sales there, but that marketing piece lives where, part of it is you have to have the right stuff around it, right? The right keywords, the right tags, those right things. It has to be in the right place. Well, if that Monday marketing minute is on my website and you're coming back on a weekly basis to watch my next marketing minute, I don't really have to sell you. The stuff's right there if I'm doing the right things on my website, right?
Gotcha. So it sounds to me like there's 3 components or 3 ways to create a compelling video. One would be FAQs, so frequently asked questions that come in via social media, by email, by phone, or all the above, right?
Yep.
Another would be questions that that people have not answered that they should answer. Being the expert, you not only get to see the questions that come in and certainly see the common ones that keep cropping up time and time again, but you also see the ones they should be asking that they're not because they just don't know what they don't know, right? So that's another endless stream of content is the questions they could or should be asking that they're not, correct?
Absolutely, and I would add one more to that. There are things that will come up during. You got to change your mindset a little bit. I always tell folks now, when you get into this space, no matter what you do moving forward, it's a marketing opportunity. So when you're at an event, maybe you're at a charity event and you're donating dollars, or you're at your daughter's softball game, or you're at, you name it. Those are all marketing opportunities because people also want to see the real side of you. So along with the questions, you can do a short video on, I serve on the board for my daughter's softball league. So I'm a marketing guy on the nonprofit board there. And so when I put out a video for a minute about a new thing that we just learned on social media as it pertains to that softball league, people are getting good information from me. But in addition to that, there may be an emotional attachment because there's other people out there that have 11-year-old girls that play softball. And so now we have something in common. So they're more likely to probably reach out to me. So there's also an element of, it doesn't always have to be about the home warranty. It also can be, if you're an appliance guy and you have a Viking range at home, maybe it's you taking 7 minutes to show them a recipe that you just made on this thing. It doesn't have to be anything crazy. The idea is to be there consistently and be giving away good free information, and people will keep coming back. Then, and you're probably like me. You probably know Gary V, right?
Absolutely. Who doesn't?
Who doesn't? What's funny? Surprisingly enough, I've been talking about him a lot around here, and there's a lot of people that are like, no, I haven't checked him out yet. So there's a market there. But Gary V always says, look, I'm going to constantly give you great free information. And when it's time for me to make the sale, I'm going to make the sale to you. I'm going to say, hey, listen, I know I've given you some great stuff and I hope you're enjoying every minute of it. By the way, let me just give you a second. I'm going to tell you what it is that I do. And if you have a need for my services, please feel free to give me a call. And to me, it's like you can merge those two worlds when he built that emotional attachment because people love watching him walk around New York City and go into Hungary and speak and get me pumped up so that when he does sell, it becomes, yeah, dude, I'll listen to you. I've been getting great stuff for you for the last year and a half. Go ahead and sell me.
Right? If your free stuff is this good, imagine how good your paid stuff is. My word, Absolutely. Sign me up, right?
Absolutely.
And so another component of it, so it's not just about the FAQs, it's not just about the questions they should or could be asking that they aren't. It's also about sharing your world, sharing your story, sharing a little bit about yourself so people can connect with who you are as a human being. And also the last piece that you mentioned there is story, the power of story. So if you're feeling like you're starting to get sweaty palms and you're tensing up and you're resisting and bristling because you feel like it's a sales pitch, ask yourself the question, how can I spin this into a story? So instead of it just being about talking about a sales pitch for your home warranty, find one compelling story of how that home warranty changed someone's life, how it made a transformative impact in their life, whatever it is you sell, how it made an impact in their life, and share the story. And believe it or not, it's the story that will get people more emotionally involved and committed to wanting to take advantage of what you've got than any kind of sales pitch you'll ever put together, package, or promote. Is that accurate?
Yeah, not only is it accurate, but I want to spin a little bit. It's almost like you're creating your own Lifetime movie, right?
Get this. Every day, local prospects are searching for your products or services online, and they're looking for someone they can trust. Are you capturing that business? How would you like to dominate the local search results with more 5-star rave reviews than any of your competitors so you become the only logical, trusted choice? I call it Operation Domination. Download a free copy of our Ultimate Testimonial Toolkit now at mytestimonialengine.com/domination. Again, that's mytestimonialengine.com/domination, and discover how to build your business at the speed of trust.
So think about the greatest cast that you could ever assemble, the most beautiful actresses, the best actors. If the storyline sucks, what's going to happen? Right?
Yeah, it's going to fall flat.
So you're going to fall flat. So in your world, you could have all the best looking models and everybody come in, but if your story is terrible and you're not passionate, you don't believe it, over time, your following is going to rebel or fall off, one or the other. And so you almost have to take that appliance store and sort of make a long-term movie out of it. Tell the story over and over, draw the narrative out, and people will attach themselves to that narrative, not necessarily what it's about, right? So the appliances is one thing, but I get great entertaining content this guy's giving me or this girl's giving me. And by the way, I also just saved $1,000 because of something he saved, he told me about. So I think there's a couple moving elements there, but make it your movie. If you make that your movie and you're just doing snippets, it could become the biggest show on earth.
Well, it all starts with a little baby steps, and I think most people don't even get out of the parking lot, let alone onto the fast track. So let's talk about why they should even bother getting on the fast track with video, because some people might be thinking, this all sounds great, Doran, but I'm too busy. I'm so busy I don't even have time to scratch my head right now. I'll put this on the back burner. I'll think about doing this next year, or I'll think about doing this some other time when I'm not so harried and my bandwidth isn't so run haggard. So how do you, what's the single biggest reason why people should put this on the front burner for those who are on the fence about it?
Man, that's a tough question. I'll start with just the good thing is that, if you're talking about starting next year, you got about 18 days. So, right? We're at the end of the year. So, and or something like that, a couple of weeks. So, man, listen, I think, first of all, with the technology these days being as readily available as it is, and really what I'm telling you to do should only take one take, there's really no reason, let's put it this way. If you have 4 cups of coffee in the morning, tomorrow cut it back to 3, and during the time you would have had your 4th cup of coffee, do a 1-minute video. Really, listen, I've done these things in the car. I've done them on the streets of Philly, walking through with my headset. They're not glamorous. This is not Entourage on HBO. This is me getting my message out. And really, at the end of the day, Doran, the only thing I care about is getting in your space and starting a conversation. So like I tell people all the time, we sort of mentioned this at the beginning of the kickoff of the show. You can even turn your negative press into good press, right? So even if you think you're terrible at it, you're going to get better. You're going to learn your tricks. People are going to come out of the woodwork. Your haters are going to say to you, that was terrible. I didn't really want to be looking up your nose that early in the morning because I'm holding the phone down lower than my chin. Right? But the reality of it is this. There's 2 things that happen there again. All these things seem to happen in couplets. I don't know. Maybe I'm just not smart enough to hit 4 things. But there's 2 things that happen there. People are seeing it and they're responding. And even if the negativity is, because I have friends on my page that the first thing they want to do is poke me, right? You know, you got those guys that are your long-term friends. Your clients don't know it. The clients think there's some kind of hater, but this is a guy I grew up with from the time we were 5 years old. We're allowed to do that to each other. But what just happened, though, was that he or she responded on my feed, and all of his or her friends now saw that. And so I'm expanding my reach by having that negative post come out. You know, I'm saying negative, I'm getting the air quotes. The other thing it allows you to do is respond to something that maybe the market is telling you need to do better. And so think about your eBay, right? You've purchased things on eBay and Amazon, yes?
Yep, absolutely.
So I'll give you two scenarios. You have this great new thing, shiny widget you want to buy, and you go on and you find that widget and you go to the seller, and the seller has 4 reviews and 3 of them are negative. Are you buying?
Hell no.
No. But the flip side of that, you go to the same thing and you see 10,000 reviews, 20 are negative, but all 20 have very good responses from the company. Are you buying from there?
Absolutely.
So that's how you handle your digital marketing and your social media. Post it, let people respond. Hopefully for you, it's all positive stuff, and it will be down the road. But even when it's not, you can twist that to taking advantage of it if you do it the right way with professional courtesy. And, you know, doing the right things, you know, so you have to respond the right way. You don't want to get into some kind of argument online. Oh, how can we do that better? I'm glad you pointed that out. Next time I'll hold the phone up. You can make a joke out of it. And that thing will get swept under the rug. More people will see it. They'll like what it is that you're doing. They'll like the way you came back and you were engaged with the community, and they'll continue to look and listen.
Well, that makes a lot of sense. At the end of the day, I think it comes down to understanding how powerful video is. I mean, if you look at the stats, it's staggering how much video is consumed. And if you just do a little Google search, you'll see there, Google stats, video stats on Google. It's mind-blowing how much video. I mean, YouTube is the second biggest search engine on planet Earth for a reason. People dig video. So our challenges as entrepreneurs and business owners is taking this natural propensity and gravity towards video and using it to our advantage. And the only thing that stops us is our own mindset that says we don't have anything good to provide, or we're too busy, or they won't listen to me, or I got to have my hair just perfect and it's not perfect, so I'm not going to do it. You know, all those different, mind frick blocks that hold us back from success. At the end of the day, it comes down to how can you serve others? How can you make a contribution to others? So video is big on Facebook, as you know. Is it worth, we see, Gary Vee and a lot of these guys, every video is not only just got excellent content, but it also has captioning so people can check the message without having to turn up their volume and get it in audio. Is that something you'd recommend every local business owner do, or is that just for the big guys?
Well, I certainly would recommend it. Here's where you get into a challenge. The challenge becomes that it even though Facebook Live has added some bells and whistles to make it a little bit easier, if that's going to retard your progress because it's just another element that you got to get through and learn. And so you're not going to, I know a lot of people say, well, if I have to do video and I have to close caption it, well, I don't know how to close caption it, so I won't do video. If doing that is going to stop you from doing the video altogether, then I would say, no, it's not that important. However, it is important, and the stats and numbers tell you that that's the case, and here's why. I think, and I forget the exact number, but it was something like 67% of all video is consumed now on the Facebook stream with the sound down, because people are looking at it in church, and people are looking at it in a meeting, and people are watching it while they're at work. And so if they can't hear the volume and there's no closed captioning, they're just filtering through it. They're scrolling right by it. However, if they see something that captures their attention visually and they can read what's going on while they're at work, they'll stick around a lot longer.
Right. Well, for my own business, just for the record, by the way, I haven't written a single loan in my life, just so everyone knows. I provide marketing solutions to mortgage professionals. MortgageMarketingCoach.com is one company, and then the other company, we provide that software as a service called the Testimonial Engine, which gets those reviews, because everyone's looking at reviews like you shared with that example of eBay and Amazon. That's the precursor, the prerequisite to every sale. And so I need to I don't just want to produce, but I need to produce video to bring my audience into my orbit and have people connected to me and know who I am. So this is something I've already known to do, but I haven't been doing because it's It's been something that in my mind, I feel like it needs to be so much fancier than it actually needs to be. And you're kind of breaking through that paradigm right now and making me realize, hey, it doesn't have to be that fancy. But anyway, recently I did a series, I think 5 videos I recorded within a matter of, I was astounded. I thought it was going to be such a big deal. I recorded them all within half an hour, 5 videos within half an hour. And one a week, that works out to be about 6. Well, I guess that's 5 weeks worth of video. And I literally did that within half an hour. I felt so proud of myself. And then I went and found someone off Upwork, and you could probably find someone off Fiverr as well, that transcribes it for $5 per video. So I'm talking like now for $25, I've got all of them transcribed, and I got my video guy from, Bulgaria or something like that, again from Upwork, creating those videos, one version for my blog that doesn't have the captioning, and another version with the captioning for Facebook. And so the big idea I want to drive home is you don't have to be doing all this minutia yourself. You can get a team in place that is very modestly priced to be editing the videos, rendering the videos, putting captioning in, even adding them to your blog, even adding them to your YouTube channel. All that stuff can be managed for you. So would you recommend a particular location or place where people go to get this help? Or is that something that your company does? Tell us about that.
We could help with that for sure, but I think you really just nailed it. I use Fiverr. It used to be Odesk and Elance. They merged for Upwork. So Fiverr and Upwork, for me, it's 100% these days about the delegation. Let's go back to our example. All that content that Gary Vee's spitting out, is he editing those videos, and is he filming them? And aside from his Snapchat, he's got D-Rock following him around with a camera, doing all the editing, and he sits behind him and pokes him. When's it going to be ready? When's it going to be ready? So there's a little bit, Gary charges $60,000, I think, an hour to speak at live events, and it may have gone up. And part of the reason why he's able to do that is because of his exposure online. And I know for a fact that, I'm not going to say this 100%, but Gary probably doesn't know how to fire up the editing software, let alone put closed captioning in.
Right.
And I'm not taking a shot at him. He's just really good at putting the right people in place. And until you're able to pay somebody on a W-2 wage, Upwork, like you said, $5. So in theory, you could sit down in your office with 5 different shirts, right, and do 5 videos. And like you said, let's say it takes you a half hour. And then you upload those things to the guy or girl in Bulgaria or wherever it is. You pay them $25, and you have content for the next 5, 6, 7, 8 weeks, right?
Yep.
You're telling me that if you did that consistently, you don't think that you would gather one client from that in 6 months that would say to you, I saw your videos, they're awesome and informative, and that's why I called you? That's probably going to pay for your $25 every month you're using.
Oh, absolutely. And the other thing, too, that's really cool about it is these can be repurposed on so many different levels. I can get the whole thing transcribed and turn it into captioning, but now I can take that transcription. I can send that to the editors and publishers in my niche magazines for my niche, and I can offer them as articles. There's so many different ways to repurpose the same pig, the same parts of the same pig, and it's one-time effort with multiplied impact and profit, and that's what I'm all about. Working smarter, not harder.
No question. And I'll tell you, just to give you an example, I'm going to give away another one of my, you already gave away the Upwork and the Fiverr thing. Have you ever heard of Canva?
Yeah, Canva. That's killer for kind of do-it-yourself images.
Yeah, absolutely. And so I had a client. It's not a client yet. I'm working on him for 2017, but we've been in contact, and I convinced him to do a biographical video, which he did without me knowing, and it came out phenomenally. It was professionally produced. He probably paid a good amount of money for it, but it's going to catapult his career in the real estate field quicker than it would if he hadn't used it. And so he sent it to me and said, I would love for your opinion on this. What do you think? And I said, I'll say the guy's name was Jack. Jack, not only is the content phenomenal, it makes you look like a rock star, but look at what I did. So what I did was I took a screen share of part of the video where he's sitting with his iPhone in a coffee shop.
Mm-hmm.
I just snapped the screen picture while I'm watching it. I transferred it over to Canva and dropped a quote that he used in the video. And it was something to the effect of you can win and be a good guy at the same time. and I quoted it and put his name under it and sent it to him and said, you know how many little snapshots out of that 2-minute video that we can get from media and marketing material for the next 3 months? Like, just one video, we can cut up one 2-minute video. We could probably cut into 4 different segments that we could use over and over again. I could probably snap 5 or 6 different memes from it. So you sat down for 15 minutes to do a 2-minute video, and you have content for the next 4 months.
Absolutely. And all that content, when it's transcribed, can be sent to your designer. And the designer can create beautiful images for your Facebook, social media posts, Google+, Facebook, Twitter, all that. And then those graphics with a nice little quote that are pulled from content you've already created, nothing new, and you didn't even have to be a part of it. You just send the content links, and your designer creates the little beautiful images, and then it gets someone from the Philippines for $5 an hour to post those for you through Hootsuite onto all your channels, and you do jack diddly squat. You just have this fantastic, stunningly designed content hitting your channels day by day, and you do nothing but send access to the content. That's what I'm talking about. It's called working smarter, not just harder. So
I couldn't agree more.
Loving the convo here, man. We still got a little bit more to get into. So we already kind of talked about mistakes, but I want to make sure we're not missing anything. So the next question is, what are the biggest mistakes, if we can call it that you see a lot of local businesses make in their online and video marketing beyond what we've already talked about so far?
There's a couple of them. Number one is the simple one is not doing it, right? So,
Right.
I hear that all the time. I'll get to it later, or I just don't know that Facebook is my type of thing. I'm not, I don't want to reunite with all the girls I dated in high school. Like, I hear that all the time, right? If you use it the right way, it can really benefit you long term. What's one of the other mistakes I see? Leaving out the personal element. And you got to figure out how far into the personal element you want to go. But again, if it's all about sales, go back to the real estate agent again. If it's just constant, have a new active listing, open house, new active listing, and that's all the content you're giving me, there's really no need for me to stick around and follow you anymore. I need to know about the person, because more than likely I'm buying the person at most cases. Like, I had this conversation with a client of mine the other day, and they said, why would I go with you and not another company? And I said, I don't necessarily know that you wouldn't go with another company, but the reality of it is that anybody can do social media and anybody can do digital marketing. I have to build that trust with you. And at the end of the day, when you write the check, you're really buying me, Gene Volpe, not the fact that I'm posting on Facebook for you.
Right.
So there has to be that personal. And listen, I lose business that way. There are people that don't like my hand gestures. They don't like bald guys with beards. I mean, I get stopped in the airport every 4 minutes, But it is what it is. So that's a huge element. And putting the personal touch on that a little bit to make it a real person, to make you a real establishment, a local business where, people want to bring their money into the community. That's a huge element of it. Don't just tell me about your specials. Also tell me about the good things that are going on and the charities that are involved and how people are benefiting from what you're doing and all that other stuff. Make it real, and people will more likely come and call you.
Mm-hmm. And share those client success stories and share, things that they need to know that they may not need to know. Like, another thing that I wanted to ask you about is, do you think it's a good idea for a local business to do video inside of the content of really providing not just FAQ content, not just questions that are particularly related to their, product or service, but also going a little bit beyond that and saying, hey, if you're looking for a real estate agent to sell your home, here are the top 7 things you need to look for to ensure you're going to get a professional who's actually going to sell your home fast for top dollar, as opposed to someone who's just a fake professional who says they're going to do it, but you end up having to, have it go into expired listings because it doesn't actually sell, because all the hype they gave you wasn't actually legit. So in other words, giving them consultative advice for free on what to look for, which changes their buying criteria, makes them realize, dang, I didn't know that was important. I didn't realize that these are the things I should be looking for when I interview home listing agents. Is that something you'd recommend in terms of content for video, or is that a little bit beyond the scope of a recommended list?
No. I would. And actually, I would take that one step further. And what I would do is I might not. So for me, let's say I was the restaurateur in a local area, and let's say I wanted to talk real estate. Just give people a piece of advice. I just bought a new house. There was something that hung me up, caused a delay in settlement, and my agent handled it appropriately. We got through it. I'm now a brand new homeowner. I may want to relay that to my folks. Now, why? I mean, who knows? But I'm a local community guy. I want people to know about it. I want to. Well, guess what I might do? I'm probably going to call that real estate agent in and do a one-on-one with that agent to say, hey, Gene here from X, Y, and Z sub shop. Wanted to bring my real estate agent in. Here's the high level of the story, what happened, but I thought you should hear from the expert who fixed it. Let them step in and sort of do a one-on-one with you, or do a special guest insert. And the reason why I'm saying that is because what happens when that real estate agent comes in and is now on my podcast or my, whatever it is that I'm doing, my video or whatever it is, they're going to tell all their friends.
Right.
And all of their friends probably reside close to where I want my market to be or where my clients live. And so who knows, I may pull 2 new customers in that way. You can go a little further, give away a gift certificate, in addition to having them. But I would create a strategy circle with people who are experts in their area that are running businesses that you believe in, right? It's important that I've done business with you and I can stand by my word that you're a good guy, right?
Mm-hmm.
But then bring them in and their circles and get access to their circles through them.
Right.
And so that now people know more about me by default.
Gotcha. So what you're talking about is finding other complementary businesses who sell complementary products and services to your business. Yep. And don't just be the content creator yourself, but interview other experts in relevant fields and have them provide valuable content and share that content through your channels. That does 2 things. One is it provides more value to your audience, your constituency, and it fosters a relationship of trust with those strategic partnerships, which obviously gets you into their world, their circle, their center of influence, and potentially also has them be a strategic partner who sends you a whole whack of referrals. Is that kind of what you're saying?
There was a lot in there. Yes. Yeah. And what I want to do is take it a step further and say to you, you're a perfect example. In the field you're in, you're doling out mortgages like it's going out of style. How many times has a settlement been held up because of an appraisal? Well,
again, I haven't written a single loan in my life, but a lot of my clients who are mortgage professionals, it happens every single day. I mean, it happens all the time.
So, and even that you haven't wrote that alone. Can you speak to the effects of that and how to fix these things?
No, I know jack diddly squat about that. What I do know is marketing, and I know how to help. I don't know how to do any of the, minutia tied to being a technician as a mortgage professional, but I know how to bring in mortgage clients. And that's what mortgage professionals pay me to do, is to help them bring in more business. So from that standpoint, I mean, at the end of the day, it comes down to knowing your specialized, skill set and honing that and marketing yourself around that. And that's actually my unique selling proposition. While these other chumps who are used to following the herd and doing what everyone else does, the me too, me too, me too, because they're in a box of the way everyone else does it, conventional way of thinking. I've never been in the box. I never lived in the box. I've never set foot in the box because I don't even know what the box is about. I've never been in there. Right. So anyhow,
this is the path I was going down. I know you took me down that road, and so what I was going to say at the end of that was, in your particular scenario, maybe it would help. I'm not giving you advice for how you do it. You're crushing the game already. I'm just kind of giving an idea if I was in your world. Sure. I would bring these mortgage guys in and do one-on-ones with them to talk about the pitfalls of what they see for their clients. And so the value add there is, this guy Doran is bringing me mortgage information. Let me call Doran or follow his funnel, however it may lay out, and go give him my business, because it's really about creating that emotional attachment. And anytime somebody helps me willingly and for nothing in return, I'm always more likely to give them my money when it comes to a business transaction than if it were the other way around.
Absolutely. Value first, results in advance first. I love it. So let's talk about branding real quick. What does branding have to do with lead gen? I mean, can local businesses afford to worry about branding or not to worry about branding? I mean, is branding really that important, or should it even be on the radar? How does that fit into the bigger picture?
No, I think, I would say there are some exceptions when branding is probably not huge to deal with. I really can't think of any off the top of my head, but here's what I would tell you. In some of the presentations that I give to businesses and to real estate agents, I go through a slideshow, and the slideshow, I basically open it up with branding, creating your brand, creating consistency across the brand. And then I give them examples of what has worked in the past. And what I do is I have 10 slides that I go through in literally about 40 seconds. And all that's on the slide is a picture of a brand. So, the Target logo, the McDonald's logo, Apple, Lexus, Mercedes-Benz. And it's just the logo with no words. And I tell everybody in the audience, when I'm going through it, I just need you to do two things. Yell out who the company is and what it is that they're known for. And without a doubt, sometimes at McDonald's, you hear people say French fries and other people say burgers, but the gist is the same. And at the end of it, I say to them, listen, remember the Target dog where he had the bullseye on his eye? That's what started the whole Target brand getting into the mainstream. And so everybody knows what that bullseye is. And I don't need to tell you what they sell. I don't need to tell you the TARGET below it. I don't need to tell you that. You know exactly who it is and what they do. And if you need it, that's where you go. So every piece of marketing material that Target puts out, whether it's a flyer, a circular, a TV ad, social media, has that bullseye. And you know what? They're a $1 billion company for a reason. Same with Apple. So that's what I call the back end of that is subconscious marketing. So in my area right here where I'm at, if I get a hankering for Clams Casino or Clams on the Half Shell, I'm going right down the street because my guy makes the best ones. I don't need to think about it. That's subconscious to me because my body's consumed it. I know I love it. And so that subconscious marketing is you being the only go-to and expert in your field of whatever, where in your field. And so that when people are thinking about needing your service, there's no other option. That subconscious marketing is accomplished through branding yourself properly and across multiple channels on a regular basis with great information that you're giving to people at no charge.
So I'm assuming that means you need to have a good relationship with a top-flight, top-notch graphic designer who understands the importance of branding and understands how to craft a brilliant brand. And then everything you put out is filtered through your graphic designer, where your videos are in sync with that, your blog is in sync with that, your postcards are in sync with that, your business cards are in sync with that, your flyers are in sync with that. Everything's in sync with the same look and feel and brand because it all goes through the filter of your, top-notch superstar designer. Is that kind of the idea, or am I missing something?
No, I think you said it, and I think there's two ways to deal with it, right? You can call somebody like me to handle that for you from soup to nuts.
Right.
Or somebody you're comfortable with. Or if you want to spend a little less money, what happens when you spend a little less money? You got to use a little bit more of your own time. So like bring in your Upworks, bring in your Fiverrs. You may have to split that across multiple designers that are a little more cost effective, which means you got to quarterback all that. But At the end of the day, it's realistically, it comes down to, does this logo and message convey what it is I want people to feel and think about me when they hear my name?
Right.
And
consistency.
Ultimately, that's going to come upon your decision. Like a lot of times I give it to my wife. I'll hand it to my wife and say, look, I'm too, like you use in the box. I'm too in the box to really make a good decision on this. What do you think? And she'll say, that looks like X, Y, and Z. Don't use that. So sometimes it's good to have that backup advice. But for the most part, it doesn't need to be it doesn't need to be expensive. And by the way, if today we start branding and you need to make a little bit of a tweak to something a little bit later, you can always do that. It doesn't have to stay 100% consistent all the time. You can always upgrade and make it look better, right?
Yeah, the cool thing is they have color codes that you can give once you have a beautiful design and you get your branding logo and everything the way you want it. Those all have color codes. So even if you're not using the same designer, you can hand them the color codes. You can hand them your PSD file or whatever it is, your Photoshop file, and they can remain consistent with the branding, even though they didn't necessarily create the logo or create your initial branding. So that's something to keep in mind. I'm going to wrap up with one more question that I think is really, really, really important, and that's around Facebook ads. I know that's an area of your expertise. So the question, my friend, is what are your best tactics for creating effective local Facebook ads? There's a ton of ways to waste money. I know a lot of people throw yogurt at the fan hoping something's going to stick, and most times it's a complete flop and it makes zero money. So how do you do it right for the local business?
There's probably a 4-week training course on getting into this question. I'm sure we could, figure it out. But for the most part, so the first thing is to create stunning visuals. You got to capture their attention first, right? So you're not going to catch anybody if you're just putting text up. It has to be really good photos Facebook stops you at about 20% of your photo can actually be text. So you have to come up with something catchy that's going to grab them, or you could use the video piece of it. Consistency is a big key in Facebook advertising, and that's if you're spending money or not. You need to be consistent to get that algorithm to like you, what you're doing. And I guess, the third part about it is you've heard split testing, A/B testing.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, you don't want to just throw bad money after good or bad money after bad, but sometimes it really is about throwing the yogurt at the fan. Sometimes you really need to see it. And so you create one advertisement that looks a specific way. That would be, your A column, and your B column, you would create another one, throw them out to audiences and see which one captures the most attention. And, another thing too with Facebook advertising that I think people miss is after you try it, there's going to be stuff that works. Don't be afraid to reuse that stuff that works, even if it's only for a couple bucks or on a different platform. You need to be able to reuse that stuff, because if it captured people's attention the first time, it could again. And so you can even go back through your old insights and basically look at what worked inside your insights behind Facebook and just put some dollars on top of that. So don't be afraid to reuse content as well. And one other piece, I get this a lot. Like, Instagram is owned by Facebook, and so there's a very good connection between the Facebook advertising platform and Instagram. And so for you to not have an Instagram account is wasting eyeballs. You need to be on Instagram with your business, as well as when you advertise on Facebook. You should also push that to Instagram. It's just clicking another checkbox. There needs to be some of that activity going on as well.
Wow. Well, I'm confident we haven't even scratched the surface of all the goodness you could be sharing with us, my friend. We've just scratched literally the surface, cracked the beginning of the iceberg here. But we're already up on time, Gene, so thank you very much for your contribution. For those listening, how can they loop back with you, connect with you? What's the best way for them to do that?
Yeah, I mean, they can call me direct on my cell, 610-952-1081, or they can get me at Gene, that's Gene, at GVI Media.
Awesome. So, wow, that's very benevolent of you. Hardly anybody gives away their personal cell phone to connect with them, so that's very unique. Talk about standing out from the clutter. Everyone else is zigging, you're zagging. Love it. So that's 610-950-8 what?
952-1081.
952-80
1081.
1081. Got it. 952-1081. And it's Gene Volpe. That's GENEVOLPE.
At gmail.com.
At Gmail. All right.
That's an easy one. That's my personal email address. That's fine too.
Awesome. And famous last words, my man. Anything you feel that our audience should be marinating their minds on as they leave this podcast?
I think it's the exact opposite. Don't marinate on overthinking how people don't want to see video. Turn your camera on right now. Do 1 minute on something you're passionate about. Throw it on your Facebook feed and see what kind of response you get.
Love it, man. Well, top producers take imperfect action, while low producers, the mediocre majority, are still polishing up their perfect plans. I heard that somewhere from somebody, and I think that's certainly very applicable to our conversation today.
Wow.
Well, I appreciate you, Gene, for being with us. I appreciate all the insight, wisdom, and mental mind shaking you gave us today. We needed to have our cages rattled a little bit, get us out of thinking about it and getting into doing about it. So thank you again for that healthy reminder.
Listen, it was my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Hey, my pleasure, man. Well, that's all for now, my friends. Thanks for joining us for another episode of the Local Domination Podcast, your ultimate guide to get local clients fast. So if tips galore that help you soar is what you adore, know this: we've got more in store. Remember, nothing happens without implementation. So in the meantime, in between time, go forth, engage. It's time for Operation Domination.